Good morning.
As well.
Good. Alright, I think I've got your sound coming in, looks like. Music down. And get on into it. So, running this a little early this morning, everyone. Just wanted to kind of get on with it. Maybe a few more things to talk about today as well. So I thought it might take a little bit longer, but obviously we're here Thursday, January the 8th, just about 25 minutes before the Open. I've got IAM with me. So let's get into it. Let's get into the big picture first of all. So just quickly looking at the 4 hour here. Obviously yesterday was a little bit of a rest day, but the previous days before that we'd had a big push up kind of by the dip mode, pushed up through the post-Christmas consolidation range, which has been 35 to 63-ish. And then put in a little balance yesterday, bit of a rest day, kind of to be expected. Lower volatility, some potential setups in there. But ultimately, end of the day, we ended up breaking down kind of the base of that around 75. And then in the evening and overnight session, we've then returned to the bottom of that prior range, that 35 to 60, and tested that exactly at the bottom. And now we're bouncing. So we're just in this kind of consolidation at the moment. So that's kind of the narrative. And then just looking at the daily ranges then. So we're a little bit above the middle of the 5-day range here, about 63% of that. So, and then we're below the prior day's range. So compared to yesterday, these two numbers were up in the 90s, I think. Need to change the colors of those, maybe a bit deceptive, but obviously the lower these numbers are, the more sort of fertile the ground is for failed breakdowns. When those numbers were really high yesterday, just kind of indicative that the context wasn't ideal, but it's obviously it's fairly obvious from the chart anyway, but that just gives you a numerical value of where we are. And then right just above the middle of the overnight range here, about 58th percentile. So that's a little bit on the narrative. Let's get into the active setups. I think a number of us are probably in this 69.50 failed breakdown. Again, I haven't been in the Discord much this morning, just getting everything ready for the day. But did you take this as well?
Yep. I took it around 8 a.m. So I'm in it. I took a trim around 59 or so. So I'm just down to a 25% runner at this point. But yeah, I mean that was a fairly nice one to wake up to because we didn't really have to do much work in terms of looking for acceptance. The overnight traders had already pretty much accepted it fairly well. So by the time I was up, I was just able to really just buy it.
Yeah, it's that tricky type 2 acceptance, isn't it? Where, I got in, let me see, my entry time was on this candle when we pushed up. So right around between 6:15 and 6:30. I haven't got it exactly on this screen. Maybe I was a little bit early. What time did you get in?
I woke up around 7:30 a.m. and I mean I think within the next 10-15 minutes I hopped on the charts and pretty much entered around 52 or so. So there wasn't a ton for me to do or look at in terms of where it was. I mean, I kind of already had liked the fact that we were accepting it for the last couple of hours there. It was just a little bit of, choppy and barcoding around the level, but that's fine. I mean, it's just kind of something you have to just wait for some momentum to kind of come in and push in. But the failed breakdown, was active at that point. So it was just more so about finding a spot of entry in terms of either timing or just finding a price right above 50-ish that you like that you could get into.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it, with that Type 2, knowing exactly when to trigger, when has enough acceptance occurred. For me, with this one, I liked the impulse on this candle here, and I opted not to use a full structural stop, which would have been down at below this 35 low, plus a couple of, or minus a couple of points, so it might have been down at 32. That was a bit too much for me to swallow, so I actually was using this shelf at the 45 level for my structural stop, and if we dip below that, obviously two things could have happened. We could have then returned, in which case I would have re-entered, or if we'd gone lower, I would have looked to enter lower. So that's kind of how I was managing my risk on that one. Yeah, as we find ourselves right now, we're putting in some great acceptance of the 59 level. So that was the end of day low yesterday, and it's coincided nicely. So we've got that confluence in kind of where it is on the chart, being a significant location. So it was the upper resistance from after Christmas, and then again on the way up through, and then we bounced there nicely at the end of the day today. But the acceptance on that level, so for anyone who's flat right now, that's a potential entry here if we can impulse back up through here. But you can see the swings of type 1 acceptance here. Multiple times we tested, kind of once, twice, a third time now, and then we're coming up to test it a fourth time. So plenty of type 1 acceptance going on there, and I think that can push up through with momentum. That would offer a decent entry for sure. So that's maybe trade idea number one for the trade plan. Beneath that, then there's the structure at 44. That's a little bit of a difficult spot, I would say, because of the sort of noise around that now. But there is a nice cluster of lows there. And then beneath that, obviously, we've got the 36 is the overnight low, and then in combination with the I think that was Tuesday's low. I've got it marked as the prior day's low, but I think it was Tuesday's low.
Yeah, 31.
Yeah, so those are some potential levels to look for. I think with the 31, you'd be looking for a reclaim at 36.
Of course, yeah. I think it's definitely too tight. So yeah, because I'm already a trade into today. That's the only thing I'm eyeing on the downside below would be 31, 36 area. Ideally, we could sweep both and then reclaim both would be obviously the best case scenario. But we could also just sweep 36 and not touch 31. So that's something you have to kind of see in real time what price does there. But for me, that's the only thing I'll be tracking. And then obviously, if we go lower, then we do have some setups lower. There is a nice shelf at 69.13 if we get a nice sell this morning. So yeah, we'll see. If not, hopefully a lot of you guys are already in runners here off the 69.50, and we can potentially go ahead and the structure here to back test. If we're able to clear this 59 resistance shelf, the structure would be that spot from yesterday where we broke down the 75 spot that triggered the sell algorithm to basically start selling. So that would be the structural spot for price to back test. If we're able to get over this shelf here at 59, that would be the target.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's kind of the plan for the day. In terms of broader structures, I actually wanted to mention this at the beginning and slipped my mind, but just keeping an eye on this potential head and shoulders here. So if we fail to break through 63 and then we dip back to the 35, obviously that's a critical level to watch for a failed breakdown. But if we lose that 35, that could be quite significant, the neckline for that. potential Head and Shoulders would be around 35. And more broadly, I think we're just starting to build out a new consolidation pattern, so there should be a lot more opportunities to come, which obviously is what we want from a fail breakdown perspective. So anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, I mean I think that's it for today. So, there's definitely some nice structure beneath us if price does want to sell. And if we want to go ahead and go back test 75, that's great too. Hopefully a lot of us are runners and can enjoy a nice day if that happens. So we'll see what we get.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks everyone. I don't think I'll be able to run this tomorrow. Wife's out of town. There's too much going on for me with the kids when that's happening. So I'll skip this one tomorrow, but we'll carry on with the trade recaps and catch you in the Discord. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.